we're talking about the big dogs now. We're getting into some of the big dogs of the AFC North, and we are starting with that team in Cincinnati with Mr. Joe Cool, and I don't even think it's debatable, but the best QB wide receiver trio in the NFL.
Oh yeah,
Explosive offense. Who we know what we can get out of the pass catchers, but it's the support cast and the defense that comes in with the questions for this year. So let's talk about these Cincinnati Bengals. Only 9-8, despite all that talent on the outside there last season, just missing the playoffs. Despite really finishing well at the down the stretch because they always start very, very slow. So going into these losses and additions, and Derek will give us our takeaways here. Got rid of Khalil Herbert, who was very seldom used there and kind of came in late anyway. Yep. Tackled Trent Brown's now with the Texans. Moved on from former Buccaneer Alex Kappa. He's with the Raiders. Defensive end Sam Hubbard has retired. Sheldon Rankins is gone. Davis Gaither is now with the Cardinals. Rain Pat now with the Raiders. So 2/3 of that starting linebacking core now with other teams. And then a couple defensive guys that got some burn in the secondary there. Mike Hilton and Von Bell have moved on, currently free agents. Mm-hmm. Guys they brought in. Now, you may be asking yourself, this says major additions, or this is usually notable additions. What the hell is Desmond Ridder doing on my screen? Well, I asked myself the same fucking question when he came up on my phone, and it said the Bengals, they can't sign their best player and the guy who's led the NFL in sacks last season, Trey Hendrickson. They can't sign the guy they got a first-round pick on in Shamar Stewart. But they signed Desmond Ridder? That is just a slap in the face to all football fans. That's why he's on there, just so I could bitch and moan, because it blows my mind. He's terrible. Moving on. Picked up some offensive linemen. Fairchild, coming out of – where is he? Is he from Georgia too?
Sounds right.
I think he's Georgia as well as Rutledge. I know we talked about him as well. But we brought in Shamar Stewart, maybe, question mark from the draft. Oren Burks coming over from the Eagles. And then Demetrius Knight starting, going to be a starting linebacker, at least slotted on the depth chart so far. So not quite as many changes as some of these other teams we're going to talk about here, but still some meaningful pieces, at least on the offensive and the defensive line, and definitely that linebacking core. So what say you, AFC North expert? How do you see these takeaways for the Cincinnati Bengals?
I mean, overall, this is a fairly similar team than last year, assuming that they can get their defensive ends signed. Obviously,
right.
You lose a couple guys in the safety, which is in the secondary, which is interesting to me that they haven't really added any secondary pieces. This is one of the worst secondaries in the league last year.
Right.
But like I said, it's a fairly similar team constructively wise to last year. My biggest thing is their defense was awful.
Right.
Awful last year.
Very bad.
They do bring in a new defensive coordinator in Al Golden.
From Notre Dame.
From Notre Dame last year. So can Al Golden, revamp this defense to
it's a good pull.
Be comparable, to another NFL defense, because this was like a high school defense.
Yeah, at least league average, competent, something.
Yeah, Lou Anarumo was with the Bengals for quite some time. Evidently, that didn't work out. You bring in Golden. Hopefully, if you're a Bengals fan, he brings some life to that side of the ball, because the offense has plenty of juice to keep you in games. But when you give up 40 points to the Pittsburgh Steelers last year, like, that should be a sign.
It's a red flag.
The Steelers hadn't scored 40 points in years.
Right.
And they were in plenty of shootouts, and Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and Tee Higgins and those guys can keep you in games, but holy smokes.
Chase had a game where he had like almost 300 yards and 2 touchdowns, and they lost.
They still lost, yeah.
So, that tells you all you really need to know.
Against the Ravens,
and let's talk about that defense, because the defense is where the question marks lie. Obviously, you have the Trey Hendrickson, which there seems to be some optimism there. I mean, just pay the dude his money. I mean, he's got the most sacks in the NFL over the past 2 seasons, led the NFL in sacks last season.
Yep.
Shamar Stewart situation is a bit of an interesting one. I mean, it's on the Bengals for trying to add some new language and trying to get cute here. So I kind of get it from Shamar Stewart, although I mean, I don't think he has much options. Dude's just
and it sounds like about half the league has this clause in rookie contracts anyways. This is just the first time that the Bengals are introducing this clause into their rookie contracts. So
and I think it's like mostly a second round pick. Like I don't know. Might. I don't know. I don't know all that mumbo jumbo, but yeah, I mean, I guess he feels slighted, and clearly they gotta figure some stuff out. So I don't even know where to factor in Shamar Stewart here. But we will talk about some of that defense and talk from the injury front.
Yeah.
BJ Hill, a guy who, came over from my Giants over in 2021 when we got, what's his name? Oh, boy. Former Alabama offensive lineman. Oh, boy. Bruce Price or something like that, or something Price. Sure. I don't know. He was freaking awful. Terrible. Another Dave Gettleman, absolute disaster class. And we got rid of BJ Hill, who's been playing really well for them. He just got a big extension. He had a little bit of a foot issue. He was in a brace or walking boot in May, but they said he's going to be good to go. He's going to start limited in training camp, just kind of, it seems precautionary. So just something to monitor. Nothing really crazy for Hill.
Yep.
The bigger one is Dax Hill, the cornerback, converted safety to cornerback from Michigan, slotted to play in the nickel. Now, he tore his ACL.
Yes.
Obviously a massive injury, requires surgery, about 10 to 12 months recovery time. He did at least tear it in early October. So he does have 11 months of recovery time, which is much more like what we like to see. Still difficult, but where are we at with Hill?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be difficult, especially for a piece in your secondary where you're constantly pivoting and cutting and changing direction and jumping and doing all kinds of really explosive things where, especially with ACLs, we talk about it time and time again, like it takes a good 18 months, 24 months for these guys to truly trust their knee, trust their leg again in those cases. So, for Dax Hill, he might be ready week 1. Will he look like the Dax Hill that we saw a year ago at this time? I doubt it. I think this will be something that throughout the season he'll start to come along, assuming that he's, is able to stay healthy.
Yeah, no, and I think you bring up a good point. Like, ready is a relative term, right? Cleared for activities is different than 100% football shape, ready to go, like at his potential, right? So I think you're correct. I think I agree that he does have a decent and good chance that he will be suited up for week 1 and be in the starting lineup. But I think it's going to take a couple games to knock the rust off, and then get used to cutting on a knee that last time he was on the field in a professional football game, his knee basically broke, right? I mean, he tore his ACL. So that's a mental thing too, that a lot of athletes kind of talk about when you get into it, but doesn't really always come to the forefront in the kind of sports media space. All right, let's get into the betting space. Again, coming off a 9-8 season. Win total, 9.5, a little bit of juice to the over there. Obviously 10.5, catching some plus money. Over rounds, it's pretty different. I mean, FanDuel's got it at minus 120. DK's got it at minus 150. So, obviously, if you're higher on them, you know where to go. You go FanDuel, and if you're lower on them, go ahead and go over to DraftKings. You can get plus 125 on the under 9.5 there. Make playoffs around minus 150. Miss playoffs around plus 130. To win the AFC North, about plus 250. AFC, anywhere from 11-1 to plus 850. And then to win the Super Bowl, around 20 to 22 to 1. All right. Where are we at with this team for you? Any futures, any win total, anything like that?
I'm not taking any of the win total related stuff, playoff stuff, because I see this team, again, kind of similar to last year coming into the season. Like, they could go absolutely bonkers and win 12, 13 games.
Yep.
They could also, finish around 500. So I'm going to skip off of those things. But this team or this division is top heavy. And
Right.
so, just looking back over the years, my Pittsburgh Steelers and the Bengals have had some battles over the years, and it seems like one wins and then the other one wins, and then it just switches back and forth. So I went the series route and said that Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, obviously they meet up twice a year. They'll go 1-1 at plus 130.
Okay, splitting the series there. I like it. Yeah. No, I agree. I'm not on a win total or future because, I as much as I want to believe in Joe Burrow and I think he's fucking awesome, and Chase and Higgins and Brown, I'm a staunch believer in football starts up front on both sides of the ball. It starts on the offensive line, it starts on the defensive line. They did nothing to address the offensive line.
Correct.
And they didn't. I mean, they're potentially going to be without two of their better players on the defensive line. So, I mean, they brought in Fairchild. We'll see what he looks like in the interior. But I'm not convinced on their offensive line, and I'm not convinced on their defensive line. So that's kind of where I'm at there. Obviously, they're going to put up points in fantasy. You want to be all over this team. But part of that is because their defense is a little bit shaky. So no win total future for me. But I am going to be on three guys in their player prop, and we'll start with Mr. Chase Brown over 875.5 rushing yards at minus 110. He did this. I mean, he went for 990, almost 1,000 yards last season. Yes, he played in 16 games, but he was not the RB1 the whole season. I really came in after like week 4 or 5 when he started to get more touches and Zach Moss got hurt and blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, this number makes no sense to me. He's got, really little competition behind him. Zach Moss is again back, but they made the move to Chase Brown over Zach Moss. Like, he is the RB1 this season. I don't think Zach Moss is really going to be taking away a lot of touches. Moss he's coming off a neck injury, which you never want to see for a running back anyway. So I love Chase Brown over 875.5 rush yards at minus 110 over at DraftKings. I just think smash play. I think he's in a great position. You cannot load the box against this offense. So he's going to have some holes, and I think he's going to take advantage again this season.
I'll co-sign that one.
What do you got? Okay, yeah.
So let's go ahead with your next one. Let's talk wide receivers a little bit. So Jamar Chase gets all the love. He's our wide receiver one in fantasy rankings and all of those kind of things. I'm going to shift over to Tee Higgins, who had a pretty good year last year, getting 10 touchdowns. I think he's going to have another really good year and go over 7.5 at minus 110. I think, Chase got the Triple Crown last year. I think the two of them both elevated their games last year. I do think it kind of evens out a little bit more. And Tee Higgins kind of is that red zone threat because he's a little bit bigger type of wide receiver.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback off you, and I didn't go the touchdowns route, but I went Tee Higgins 1,000 receiving yards at plus 150 or plus 115 over at Bet 365 there. I mean, he had 911 in just 12 games last year. I think that, things may swing a little bit. I mean, he's a wide receiver one. When he stays healthy, he hits this number pretty consistently. And he just got paid, and I think that all this is going to take is 14 games, and I think he's going to be there. Again, we just talked about it. Joe Burrow is awesome. Chase is awesome. You can't double team them both. You're probably going to double team Chase and kind of have to live with what Tee Higgins does to you, which could be a lot of damage. Their defense kind of stinks, so they're going to need to score points. Even if not, they're going to throw the ball 50 times regardless.
Well, and going off that, Joe Burrow threw for 43 touchdowns last year. I think he's going to basically have a repeat season. So I did take Burrow over 40 passing touchdowns at plus 285. Like you mentioned, I think this team's just going to have to throw the ball a shit ton to Higgins and Chase. And
they're really good at it.
They're really good at it.
It's not
they're
like
gonna
a
put points up
situation where it's a desperation thing. It's really hard to stop Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and Tee Higgins 3 downs. They have 3 shots to pick up 10 yards. That's really difficult to do for anybody. I agree. Barring, any really injury, I think that it's hard not to love this offense.
Yep.
All right. Last play I'm going to give out here is my boy Trey Hendrickson. I'll put some respect on your name. I talked about it. I mean, the dude's had 17 and a half sacks 2 seasons in a row. 2 years ago it wasn't good enough because I believe it was TJ Watt that had like 19 and it went crazy,
21.
right? Well, Watt just got paid. He's fat and happy, right? Trey Hendrickson's having to work like a dog, and whether he gets paid or he gets slighted, I think he's going to come up with a chip on his shoulder. So give me Trey Hendrickson to have the most sacks yet again this season, as he did last season, at 10-1. I mean, he led the league last year. He has the most sacks in the past 2 seasons. Like, they don't really have any other pass rushers. Like, who knows if Stewart's going to line up? Size a fun piece, but like, I just think the price is crazy. You're giving me 10-1 on the guy who I think has the best shot to do this, right?
Yep.
Because he also doesn't have the name of Myles Garrett and TJ Watt, right? Like,
Correct.
You're definitely double teaming. All your attention is on Watt and Garrett and guys like that, right? Crosby and stuff. Hendrickson, for whatever reason, just doesn't get that respect.
Yep.
And I mean, if that's fine, I guess, in the betting markets, because I'm going to take advantage of it. And so give me him to have the most sacks in the NFL at 10-1 over on DraftKings there.
Good deal.
All right. So these Cincinnati Bengals, we'll see if they're going to rule the jungle this season. Derek and I are staying away from the win totals and futures. We love the offense, but the O-line, the defense, a lot of question marks there, and we don't think they did enough to kind of own that vote of confidence. However, he thinks they're going to split the series with his Steelers and go 1-1 for a nice plus 130. Both big fans of Tee Higgins having a nice breakout year, which means Mr. Joe Cool is also going to have a nice year. And then Trey Hendrickson, stop disrespecting the man. He's going to get sacks, and he's going to make us cash there. Nice 10-1 for him to lead the NFL in sacks. All right, before we move on, let me tell you about what we got going on over at idpplus.com. Look, folks, if you are a football junkie like our peoples like us, then you want to check out idpplus.com. We took football 24/7, 365. If you're a defensive junkie, definitely head on over to IDP Plus. There's not many people welcoming in the defensive nerds. We gladly do it, but whether it's betting, offense, we've got a subscribers-only Discord, and we got different levels of subscription where we have subscriber-only content to ensure you have a leg up in your fantasy league. So go ahead and check out idpplus.com today.
Thank you for watching the IDP Plus YouTube network. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Be sure to tap the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload new content.